Good morning, all of you. I am Dr. Alok Agrawal, and I will be here to present lecture number 15 of your course Internal Combustion Engine having code ME501. So, in last class, we have studied the first law of thermodynamics, how it is applied on our IC engine, and we have seen some engine performance parameter which include mainly the thermal efficiencies, mechanical efficiency, volumetric efficiency and relative efficiency. So in last class we have studied different type of efficiencies. So in today's class we will continue the topic and we will complete all the engine performance parameter, and the various engine performance parameter include specific fuel consumption, calorific value of fuel, fuel air ratio, mean piston speed, mean effective pressure, specific power output. These are the remaining parameters that we are going to discuss in today's class. So to start with specific fuel consumption. So it is inversely proportional to the thermal efficiency of the engine. So if you want to define it in a very simple language, it can be defined as the reciprocal of thermal efficiency. It can also be defined as the amount of fuel required in kilogram to produce per kilowatt hour. So this is the exact definition. What is fuel? Specific fuel consumption? It is the amount of fuel required in kilograms to produce per kilowatt hour. So for producing 1 kilowatt hour of power, how much fuel is required in kilogram, that is called specific fuel consumption. Okay, so specific fuel consumption can be defined as fuel consumption per unit time divided by either if we will talk about indicated power or brake power, depending upon the denominator will change as indicated power or brake power. So mathematically specific fuel consumption is equal to the fuel consumption per unit time, and this fuel consumption is in kilogram. Okay, divided by indicated power or brake power. So if we will put here indicated power, it is called indicated specific fuel consumption, and if we will put here brake power, it is called brake specific fuel consumption. Okay, so depending upon indicated power or brake power taken, the term can be said as indicated fuel specific fuel consumption or brake specific fuel consumption. This parameter is used to define how good the engine performance is. Means if the amount of fuel required is less for producing 1 kilowatt hour power, then the engine is better. And if the amount of fuel required in kilogram to produce 1 kilowatt hour power, then the engine is not that much good. So with this parameter, we can define how good the engine performance is. Okay, so specific fuel consumption is less, then engine performance is good, and if specific fuel consumption is more, then indicate engine performance is not that much good. So the next parameter is calorific value. Calorific value, I have already defined this in our last class while studying efficiency. Now I'm again defining it more briefly. Like it is defined as thermal efficiency, thermal energy release per unit quantity of fuel when the fuel is burned completely and the product of combustion are cooled back to the initial temperature of the combustion mixture. What does it mean? It means then the amount of energy released when the fuel is burned, and again what we have to do, we have to take that exhaust gases after the fuel burn, it produces exhaust gases, we have to bring back the exhaust gas to the initial temperature. Okay, so it is like calorific value of the fuel. Okay, so again this calorific value can be defined in two different categories, that is higher calorific value or lower calorific value. So when the product of combustion, we are taking it back to the normal temperature, that is we are considering at 25 degrees centigrade, then the amount of energy released is called higher calorific value. And if we will not bringing back the product of combustion to its initial temperature, then the amount of heat evolved, yeah, amount of energy released is called low calorific value. So generally we are dealing with low calorific value, lower calorific value. This higher calorific value, mainly it is not of practical use because we are not very much concerned about bringing the temperature of the exhaust gas to the normal temperature. The next performance parameter is fuel air ratio. It is the relative proportion of fuel and air in the engine are very important, okay? Because it depends on how effective your combustion will be. This fuel air ratio is very much important in for determining the efficiency of the engine. Okay, so fuel air ratio is defined as mass of fuel divided by mass of air. Okay, and again air fuel ratio is equal to mass of air divided by mass of fuel. So a mixture that contains just enough air means if the amount of air required to burn the unit quantity of fuel is exact what is it required, we called it as a chemically correct or stoichiometric fuel air ratio. Okay, means if 1 kg of fuel require around 15 kg of air to burn it completely, then we can say that 1 is to 15 is a stoichiometric or chemically correct fuel air ratio of the combination. Okay, so this is called stoichiometric fuel air ratio. This is the exact amount of fuel air required to burn the given quantity of fuel. Now, if in that mixture, if the quantity of fuel we are increasing, we call it as a rich mixture, and if the quantity of fuel we are reducing, then stoichiometric fuel air ratio we called it as a lean mixture. So there are two types of mixture: rich mixture or lean mixture. And the third one is chemically correct mixture, which is the exact amount of air to burn the given amount of fuel. So the ratio of actual fuel air ratio to the stoichiometric fuel air ratio is called equivalence ratio, and it is denoted by 5. And this is of very much importance because in coming in unit 2 we will be discussing this term more frequently. Okay, so you have to be clear about this term, that what is equivalence ratio. It is the ratio, again it is a ratio of what, it is a ratio of two ratio. In numerator it is actual fuel air ratio, and in denominator it is stoichiometric fuel air ratio. Suppose we are talking about rich mixture, and rich mixture is 10 is to 1, means 10 part air 1 part fuel. And if stoichiometric air ratio is 15 is to 1, then 15 part air and 1 part fuel, then what will be the equivalence ratio? 10 is 10 by 15, there is 2 is to 3. Okay, now, this mathematically it can be written as phi is equal to actual fuel air ratio divided by stoichiometric fuel air ratio. Now, the mean piston speed, sometimes it is very much important for solving a numerical. So, mean piston speed is a product of stroke length into n, that is number of revolution, rpm. Okay, so it is if the limit it is mainly of the speed of the piston, how because till now what we are discussing about the rpm, rotation of crank. But if you want to convert that in the speed of piston, then we generally use this formula, that is 2 into L into N, where L is the stroke length, N is the RPM. And from experiment, it has been seen that the speed of the piston is coming between 8 to 15 meter per second. Okay. Next is mean effective pressure. Mean effective pressure is the average pressure inside the cylinder of an IC engine based on the calculated or measured output. With increase in manifold pressure, mean effective pressure increases. So, how can we define it in more easier words? That it is we have seen that while operating in a cycle in SI engine or CI engine or IC engine, what we are seeing that continuously the pressure changes. There is no constant pressure term there. Continuously the pressure increases and decreases. So if we want to make that, if you want to say that what will be the overall average, or what if we want to determine that cycle with one pressure, that if you able to define that cycle in by one pressure, only one pressure, because we have seen that in cycle pressure is continuously changing, it is a variable quantity. But if you want to define that cycle with only one pressure value, then that pressure is called mean effective pressure. Okay, so again mean effective pressure can be of two types, that is indicated mean effective pressure or brake mean effective pressure. So this is the formula of indicated mean effective pressure. Similarly for brake mean effective pressure, the only difference between the formula is here IP is replaced by BP, means indicated power is replaced by brake power. So this 60,000 into indicated power upon L. L is the stroke length, A is the area of the piston, N is the number of power stroke, and K is the number of cylinder. If you are talking about 4-cylinder engine, this K is capital K is 4. If you talk about single cylinder engine, this capital K will be 1. And N is the number of power stroke. This number of power stroke is 1 for 2-stroke engine. There is small n is equal to 1 for 2-stroke engine, and this n is small n is 2 for 4-stroke engine. Okay, so n is the number of power stroke, n by 2 for 2-stroke engine, and n is equal to for 2-stroke engine. For 4-stroke engine, this is 4-stroke engine. So this small n can be replaced by capital N by 2 if you are talking about 4-stroke engine, and this small n can be replaced by capital N, only capital N, if you are talk about 2-stroke engine, because in 2-stroke engine we get power stroke in every cycle, whereas in 4-stroke we get power stroke in every 2 cycles. So that's why this small n can be written as n by 2 or n depending upon the number of stroke of engine. And the last one is specific power output. It is defined as the power output per unit piston area, and what it is? It is the measure of the efficiency of the design engineer. How effectively the design engineer is using the available space. It defines that. It means that if a specific power output is more, then more power is delivered with less area of piston. So that is beneficial because space requirement is less and power output is more. So how it is defined mathematically, that specific power output is equal to the ratio of brake power upon area. Okay, so this is the parameters, various parameters that we will discuss or we will encounter in throughout the syllabus. So these are very important. So I request you all to go through all these parameters in detail once again. And if you have any doubt, please let me know. Thank you. This is for today's class. In next class, we will do some numerical problem related to this parameter that we have just learned. Okay. Thank you.